Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you're having a great day so far. I am looking forward to continue working on this grid. I think we're in a good place with it. I think it's gonna get even better. So let's go ahead, open that up, and take a look at what we've got here. So we still have some warnings, but I'm sort of gonna save those until we're finished this grid v2 and sort of like trying to figure out um, replicating all of these methods that we have on here. So if I were to hide all of these, and we just take a look at this, we've got new, we've got insert. Next up is going to be query. So we want to query for and get a reference to all the entities. I think this might be a little bit easier um, in this grid v2. I think a lot of these are going to get easier as we go on and do it. So let's just hop right in. Okay, so we're gonna test the query these from grid. Okay, so if we have let's do maybe a 5 by 5 world. Maybe a 5 by 5 world would be good. So if I have a 10 by 10 world, and it's two, the unit heights are 2. So that means there's going to be five squares going down, 5 squares going right. So that's a 25 units. Rami Ska, hello. Good morning, if it's morning for you. How are you doing today? Okay, so we have that. All right. I think that's just a one sneeze. Let's see. We need to create our entity builder. And then and then start creating entities from this. So I want to create I think I want to create 3 entities. Have one outside of where the camera is going to be looking, and 2 of them inside. So that way we know, like, hey, we're querying for the correct ones. Although perhaps just creating 2, that might be good enough too. Um, it might be fine. And then maybe, like, if we have bugs with it, we can create more entities in this test and, like, then throw them in here. So I guess we need to figure out, like, what our camera is too. Like, what is our query going to be? So let mute our query. We're going for a. I'm thinking maybe we don't need to have it just be like a pure rectangle. We could just pass in the coordinates. I was trying to be a little bit clever by. Well, a single rect actually is nice because then the camera can return that. And then I don't have to do it. Like, either it's going to be like a tuple that we're going to get out, or it's going to get like passing the camera in, which I feel like actually passing a rect in might make more sense. So let's do this. We're going to be a new rect. Okay, so if our world is 10 by 10, but we have every 2 pixels, there's another square coming along. If I want half of this if I want half the box to work with us, then that means I could go 0 through 5, 0 through 5. I think that makes sense. And we have a kitty cat hanging out with us today. All right, so let's create a new rectangle. Let's start it at 0, 0, 0, 0. We'll go to 5 width and 5 height. So then I want to query everything that falls within that sort of side on the world size, because this is the world coordinates that we're looking at. So then let's go ahead and create two entities. So we can have entity to get. Create entity. Let's give it a location of, so it has to be within 0 through 5. So something like 3.5, 3.6. I think that'll work because we're working with square units here. This should be fine. It's going to be several squares down in the grid and several squares to the right. That should be fine. And then we'll just go ahead and build this. And I want to do the exact same thing but this is going to be to not get. So what are you going to be? We're going to say, for this location, it has to be after the 5. So maybe like 7.8 and 9.1. And that should be outside of the camera. We should not get this entity. Okay, and so then we can test that we're getting the correct entities by checking their IDs. So I can store them off right here. So ID to get. Okay. Then I want to run this query, pass in our query, and then we'll go ahead and hopefully get back what we would need to. Of course, we need to write that code, so the hopefully is actually just us doing our job correctly. So we're gonna say grid.query. We're gonna hand it the query. Should probably capture this in a variable. So this is going to be visible entities. Then, so visible entities should be a vector. So we're going to assume that this is a vector of reference to entity. Well, and that's the kitty cat wandering away. Okay, so then given that, we have a few asserts that we can do here. So assert equal, that are visible entities, that length should be 1. Assert equal, visible entities of position 0. That should be, then dot ID should be equal to the ID to get. And I think that would be good enough for this. So it's going to yield us saying, hey, query doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and implement that. Okay, so I think we're just going to say straight up return a vector of entity I think that what we can do here is we can just create our result right away. So that um, results equals, maybe this could be like found entities. And then we'll return that right here. So that way it knows exactly what the type is, and we're working with our type system. Then what we need to do is go through our grid. Oh, we need to figure out what are the coordinates that we're looking for. Arctic Space Fox, hello! How are you doing today? Pretty good? Awesome. All right, let's okay, so for our query, we need to figure out what the starting X and Y coordinates are, and then what the ending Y coordinates are. So basically we need to figure out the top left corner, and well, that would be it for you up here. And then the bottom left corner. The bottom right corner. And then I think that works. Oh, you got your drawing tablet set up with your desktop. Oh no, but no graphics are emitted to it from your PC. Oh no. I've seen some of those really nice drawing tablets like in person before. At my company, some of our animators have them. And our graphic artists, but I've not not touched them at all. All I have is this very old, like which one is it? It's a Wacom, just a Wacom Intuos. So I guess control my mouse with it. That's pretty much it. But it's good for like my drawing and whiteboarding type stuff. Guess you couldn't use your motherboard HDMI output. Oh. I have other qualities other than drawing. Yeah, I mean, I want to learn drawing. I am Hardliner. Hello. How are you doing today? I am Hardliner. Okay, so let's get the start. And I believe we have. So we have this entire system for getting the coordinates. We want to also export this into another function. So function get coordinates. And what we get is if we're given a X and a Y, so an X, which is an F32, and a Y, which is an F32, we're going to be able to return a tuple of U32s. Oh, your entire your whole PC is lagging? Oh no, this is just like computer problems all around. You got Arc running on your Linux laptop. Arc, are you talking about Arc the game, the one with dinosaurs? I have that because it was released for free on the Epic Store, but I never played it. I just been like clicking on buying those games on Epic, but I haven't touched them. Less than 60 frames per second on lowest settings. Ooh. So my Linux laptop can kind of game sometimes. It really depends upon what game it is. Like I can play Civilization 5, I think is the latest one that I have, and that's pretty good. But once I start getting into like more actiony games, it starts lagging a bit. Chains Music Station, Arctic Space Fox, Lo-Fi. You love the Lo-Fi. Let's go. Let's find some Lo-Fi in here. Why are these not in alphabetical order? I guess that doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes the lo-fi is really good. I like some of the ones for working. Sometimes, however, like the lo-fi just gets into this like weird groove where it's not really music, but it's just like, hey, time to sleep now. Do they have the lo-fi fruit station? I doubt it. If I search for lo-fi, this is all I get. And so I'm doing this one right here. Oh no, you closed Arc and everything is still lagging. Oh, it's not releasing. It's not releasing all the sources. Bookmark that one in your browser or YouTube. So the problem is that I can't do that without becoming like afraid of DMCA type stuff then. And that's the problem. Is then I'll have to figure something out with the audio to not like capture that music to put onto YouTube or to stay in the VOD. Just bookmark, no playing. Oh, just go find it and bookmark it for myself. Okay, here, I'll go do that. So what is that? That is YouTube Lo-Fi Roots. Your ears deserve better lo-fi. I assume this is the one. I will I'll subscribe to this and try listening to it later today at work. All right. Let's see. What are we doing? Getting coordinates. Well, we already have this algorithm right here. So we can actually sort of grab you and return you. Okay, so this is self.width divided by, so instead of this entity.location, it's just going to be the x and y, and then we convert them to U32s here. Arctic Space Fox, you now want reggae music. Give me 1 second. Let me implement this, and then we can switch over to that. Okay, so then coordinates, I want you to now start using this new system. So we're going to do self dot get coordinates and pass it entity dot location dot x entity dot location dot y, and that gives us the coordinates there. Okay, so then I can do the same thing here. All right, I think that song just finished, right? It did. Let's find if they have any. Cool. Nice. So I do have some filters here. I have the instrumental only, and I have YouTube safe mode. And I also not allowing mature. And apparently, just saying. Well, okay, instrumental only is probably what is killing it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. I think something is playing. Okay, so we want to get the start coordinates. So start is going to be equal to self.getCoordinates. And this is going to be the query.x, query.y. And then we want the end get coordinates. And this is going to be, so query.x plus query.width, and then query.y plus query.height. End. Let end. Okay, so then it gives us our start and end coordinates. This is pretzel.rocks. You'll see like a lot of streamers are using it these days because it's like the only music platform that I know of that like is guaranteeing right now that you're not gonna get hit by DMCA takedowns. Although, like, that being said, I don't know how. Isn't Monster Cat to guarantee too? I think they are. Sometimes Monster Cat is a little bit too strong for me. A lot of their music is very high energy, and I guess like in the evening or afternoon when I'm like running out of energy, I sometimes do put that on myself, but in the morning I actually it's like might be a little bit too much. NCS is guaranteed. Okay, yeah. So there's those things, which might be nice to add in. I think some of them might be in Pretzel Rocks too. Yeah, Twitch is having a lot of trouble right now working with those DMCA people to like try to get them to stop just destroying everything on the internet. YouTube kind of gave up a while ago, which is why you get like so many different like, hey, I got demonetized because somebody claimed it with no reason, or somebody claimed the blender sound. I agree with you, me too. I'm right there. Katali, hello. Twitch will do the same. Yeah, it's there's I don't see any exit strategy for them. Like it's gonna be the exact same in the end. The music industry is too powerful. I agree. Eventually, I'm sure that this is gonna happen. Eventually, I'm probably gonna have to just turn off music and not have any music. Um, it's really gonna suck. But it's gonna happen someday. Or I'm gonna have to like get a license from like buy licenses from like these different song sources, and that's gonna even be worse. Just an AI that generates lo-fi. That would be really cool. That would actually be a lot of fun to make. I don't know how to do that. Like I don't even know how to start with that, but it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I know. Like Twitch clearly did know, but they didn't know what to do with it, and so they kept on thinking, well, we have more time. We have more time. And like I'm not that upset with Twitch, mainly because they're going up against the music industry. How, like even with Amazon backing them, I can't like it's the music industry. They've not lost yet. Just start Sonic Pi and code some music. What's Sonic Pi? I don't think I've looked at that before. Is that like where I don't know. All right. Anyways, so we have our start and our end queries. So that's going to be basically here to here. And so what we need to do is basically query and get all the coordinates for every box in between. Sonic Pi, sonic-pi.net. They always code music. Oh, it's a Ruby interpreter to create music. Interesting. Okay, so given this, based on the super collider, oh, that's cool. So I guess like minor story time. I did so I did once meet somebody when I was working at NASA, and I for like 4 years or so I was the systems administrator that was well, one of the few that was chosen to go to the supercomputing conference in order to set up the booth and like help out that. We're at the I was working at the NASA Ames supercomputing center. I was a contractor embedded on site. So working at NASA, not for NASA. Subtle difference. And while I was there, I met for one of the years somebody was speaking at our booth, and so they had a station in which they had created an algorithm to generate music based upon the sound of the universe. It was really cool. They showed me everything. They were using Apple GarageBand, and they were grabbing like all the cosmic radiation of like all the different stars, and they were just assigning instruments to it, and then wrote a query to like give it the note range, and then just sort of like let that go. And there's like, okay, well, this is what our sun sounds like. This is what our solar system sounds like. This is what the entire galaxy sounds like. Oh, and then this is what happens when you put it all together into a giant orchestra. I wasn't allowed to take any of the music with me because it was like still part of this new research, and I don't know if it ever got released anywhere, but it did sound. It wasn't terrible sounding. It was actually harmonious because there's a mathematical consistency to it. So if I ever did generative music, I could do something like, hey, every time that there's like a like read through a file, and like every time there's a function or a variable declaration, play like this instrument at this volume. Private labels that make their own music with friendly streamer policies are gonna bank big. I feel like the music industry is shooting themselves in the foot. They used to beg radio stations to play their stuff. Now they don't want free publicity. We could do something like that. We could take keyboard presses instead of radiation. Yeah, like all those things are pretty are pretty possible for us to do, are within the realm for us to do, and I think would be a lot of fun. I don't know how to like. I guess there must be APIs or like applications that like play music, and if I give it a I can like hit it and say like, hey, play piano at this decibel, and it will probably play. I don't know enough about music, like how to actually create music. To I don't know any music theory or anything else like that. So, uh, but it could be fun. Listen to your code base. Let's see. Query start and end. So we now need to create all of the indexes, all of the indexes for getting out of the hash map. Devin Nash did an interview with the guy who works at Pretzel Rocks. There, it's really insightful into this topic. Nice. That was it. That was the one. That was the one song in that playlist. All right, we're let's I was doing happy EDM at the beginning. Let's go back to that. Oh, and I'll turn off. Here we go. You're gonna turn back on, right? Yeah. Okay, so I need to get a list of these like indexes to do. So what is that? What is that going to look like? Chill EDM is your go-to station. That actually sounds pretty good too. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll start with that. Okay, so I need like in indexes. Okay, so let's make this mutable. And let's make this a vector. And then what I want to do is calculate indexes. Actually, Spix Fox, can you send a link? It really depends upon what the link goes to. You know what is the best way to send a link? If you join Discord, you can send links with no limitations there. Or you could send the link and Nightbot will grab it, and then I'll go take a look at what Nightbot was saying. With YouTube.com? I've never heard of with YouTube.com. I'll have to take a look at that one later. I don't have like a VPN set up here right now, so like on domains that I don't recognize, I'm like, I don't know if I should open it, even if I trust you. Like, it's a policy that I want to have. Even if I do trust you. Words. You've been listening to the Chill Hop channel on Twitch, actually. Good lo-fi beats. Nice. I guess if they're playing them, that maybe should be good. Okay, so not stream safe. Okay. Good to know. All right, so if I have these indexes, I want to loop through start and end and create these. This is going to be that standard double loop that we're going to do here. So for, we can basically just do for x in 0 dot dot start dot 0. And that goes through. Let's see, for y in 0 dot dot n. Oh, it doesn't start at 0. This starts at start dot dot 0 through end dot 0. And then for y in, this is start dot 1 through end dot 1. Yeah, I agree with that. I am a hardliner. It's rough right now. I know a bunch of the old like Nintendo game music is like they own it, so, and they've not been going after people for playing like, you know, original Zelda stuff. So like that's possible. Like people playing those games are still able to play those games. Because I know you do a lot of Super Nintendo streaming. Okay, so if I do this, then I want to push into indexes. Basically x and y. Oh, just a tuple of x and y. What? Really? Oh no. That's terrible. Well, then nothing's safe anymore, is it? That would be so sad if like the entire gaming industry was disrupted. But of course, like the gaming industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and if people are starting to take down their music, they're going to notice it with their videos on YouTube, because that's one of their advertising methods. And never disrupt the marketing machine of a multi-billion-dollar industry. That will piss them off. Okay, so if I do this, let's go ahead and run a debug on indexes. And we want to take a look to see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and run this query. And what do we expect to see here? So if we have a 10, we have five squares around. And so starting, and we're going for our query is 0 through 5. So we want half of it. So that's going to be So let's see, 1 2 like 5 by 5. We should be getting half of it, so like 12.5. Like there should be 12 by 12. That's like, if there's, oh, it's gonna be like 2.5. If I'm not including, it's gonna be 2 squares by 2 squares. 2 times 2 is 4. So we should see 4 of these. Oh, nice. Panicked at attempted to divide by 0. Line 77. All right. So I had... Why did we attempt to divide by 0? Because our rectangle starts with this, with 0. So let's hope they don't go that route. I have an entire long rant about like businesses, and when it goes from like their good businesses to like the bad sort of like just greed business models. And it's all around like the venture capitalists and the board of directors. Like if your board of directors are all in it just for the money, then it's not going to work out well for the company, because that means the CEO is like, they can fire the CEO, but you can't fire the board for being greedy. But they can fire the CEO for not being greedy. That it then, like, the entire infrastructure starts shutting down, and you start seeing that when these startups start getting a bunch of venture capitalist money. Like that's when it starts. The pre-roll ads are really annoying. Yeah, I know. I've so I've got the setting on because, like, Twitch turned it on where I could run an ad, and then you won't see an ad for 30 minutes. But then I have to run an ad. And so I need to decide what to like, if I want to run an ad before the stream starts. So at least 30 minutes coming in, you don't have something, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so we need to decide. Okay, so we should put a guard in here. If x is 0, if x is 0, then we know that we're in box 0. So we don't need to do the division here. Otherwise, we do need to do that division. So maybe I should break this out a little bit more. So like we'll do let I don't want to shadow x and like get rid of it. So I want this first index. So like index x. Let's do this as like an if statement. So if x is equal to 0, then return 0. Otherwise, return this. Okay, and then let index y equals, if y is equal to 0, return 0. else return this. And then this will be our index x, index y. Oh, and this is right. Okay, so 0 dot. Well, perhaps. So we're doing these self.width divided by x as u32 here. Let's actually make it so that we have to convert them over before we get in here. I don't have to do this calculation. We can check to see if we're a 0. And then that also means up here, we have to, for the queries, or get coordinates, you'll be as 2, we'll convert here. Okay, so that will be happy there. And then up here, we have to do the same thing. All right, let's try the same test again. Okay, so we see indexes just 1, this 0. I was kind of hoping that we get 2. So I need to figure out my math time. Time for us to open up Paint and do some rudimentary math. This is me adding, like, plugging in the Wacom. All right, so with Paint, which Wacom is this? This is an Intuos Wacom. I got it like 5 years ago. Maybe more at this time. It's a little scuffed up now too. There we go with that. Let's just, for everybody's brains here, for eyes. Is there a way to like make the background nice? All right, so let's do similar to yours except bigger. Yeah, I got this one the bigger size simply because like I was using it for lectures when I was doing teaching, and I wanted to be able to. That's the problem. It like stays and I have to double click it again. It's like a weird little thing. Okay, so we have that. Basically, I got it for teaching and doing like virtual, like basically these type of diagrams when I was like teaching programming. Okay, so if we have 10 by 10, but every 2, so that would be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this would be gone. So let's go ahead. Oh, well, hold on. This will be easier for me to do this. Okay, so we have it's white. Why am I an eraser still? Come on, go up there. Okay, so Just ignore that one bigger one. Okay, so we have, oh, right, because I was doing this. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, this is the most beautiful grid I've ever made. It's completely even. There's nothing wrong about it. You can't tell me otherwise. It's the best. Do I use LeetCode? I haven't done LeetCode. Like I think I like introduced some students to it and like it did a few challenges in front of them, but I never really got into LeetCode. Think about getting a digital notepad, something like remarkable but cheap. I have a Rocket book that I use upstairs, and that's pretty like I like that. The Rocket books are nice, but I've never really done LeetCode. Paint action, yes. Absolution, hello. Okay, so here's our problem, as it were. I want a camera that looks through. It's a little bit bigger than this. So it's we're going for if each of these. Okay, let's actually undo. So if this is 0, 0, and this is 10, 10, is our entire world, and then each one of these squares is 2, 2. And each one of these, despite like not to scale. Here, let me put a. Not to scale. Each one of these is also 2. So given that, can you teach you to grid like that? Oh, it's so good. Oh man, just use Excel. I don't have Excel. I guess I can load up like Google Sheets. That could work just as well. Okay, so if I'm searching for, what do we have here? We have what? No, that is not how I want to do stuff. You do not excel at working with spreadsheets. Ah, I love it. Okay, so our query is 0, 0, 0, 0 through 5, 5. So if we're looking for 0 through 2, 2 through 4, 4 through 6, so then right around here is our query is going this over. So that's 1, 2 and a half, then 1, 2 and a half. This is what we're querying for. I know that doesn't look like half, but it's half. Trust me. Any dots. Now, the other thing is that because these squares start with the top left, I really want to, even though like I'm asking only to go that far, I really want it to just grab everything that's in these squares then. Just grab that. Even if you're looking through part of that, grab this square stuff, this cell stuff. So if we end up having an entity right here and another entity down here, I want this entity out. So we want the following coordinates. We want this is 0, 0. This is 1, 0. This is 2, 0. This is 0, 1. This is 1, 1. And this is 2, 1. This is 0, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. So this is what we should be expecting out of here. Grid stream. Yeah, exactly. We unfortunately only got this. So not super helpful for us. So our math is like super wrong. Well, hello there. Hold on, let me get the floor cam so I can do this. Well, right until he jumps out of frame. Okay, it's impossible following it. Putting the camera down where the cat is just gonna always be visible. Just not gonna work. Okay, so if I need to do this, basically we have a we're only getting this one right here. Let's take a look at when we do get coordinates. We would need to know what our start and end is. So let's actually debug start and end. So take a look at that. Our start and end is 0 and 1. And if we look at our coordinates here, so that's 0 and 1, and we want 2 to be added in here. And is that true? So if I take x is 0 plus the width of 5, that's 5. If we take each unit width is 2, so 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. So that's going to give us 0. No, because it's not the unit width. It's not the unit width. It's the number of units. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 divided by 2, 2.5. Did I do this backwards again? Self.width. Okay, so let's make sure we debug. I mean, Arctic Space Fox. I mean, you wound me. Like those. I mean, you can't tell me you know the answer to that off the top of your head. Like nobody can. Nobody can know that. It's impossible to know. It's impossible to know basic algebra. Exactly. See, I am hardliner gets it. It's the same as 500 to 200. Well, that's easy. Like, it's just when you remove all those zeros, that's when it gets like really dicey. We're talking about like smaller numbers. Okay. I mean, the truth is that I just, that's my default. Also, I don't trust myself with math. I don't trust myself to the point where I do those calculations to double check. We're getting the indexes, the grid coordinates of the grid of the world, and I need to make sure that like the math is right because I don't think it is. So self dot with and self dot height. Like we need to know what this is. So if we come back down here, we run you again. So self.width. Okay, so this is 5 and this is 5. 1 plus 2. Better check the calculator. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like it sometimes is 3. It's also the entire like the warning, don't do math while live streaming. It's like I'm doing programming. How do I not do this type of math? It sucks. Make the computer do it for me. Okay. 1 plus 2 could be 5 for extremely large quantities of both 1 and 2. Okay, so if I do this, and then we also want, okay, so let's do self.width, then we want x, and self.height, and we'll give it y. So let's see what we're getting inside of here. Hold on, what happened here? I am Hardliner gave 5 tier 1 community sub gifts. Thank you so much, I am Hardliner, for the 5 gifts. And let's see who got them all. It was Neilma N12, Vortex Manipulator, Arctic Space Fox, and is that MLG or MIG? I can't tell. But thank you for being here to accept those gifts. Thank you, I am Hardliner for giving those gifts. All right, so I'm gonna be debugging all of these things to sort of like see what our math is. Okay, so here we are. We're going with 5 and 0, 5 and 0, 5 and 5, 5 and 5. I guess I knew that was what was being passed in, right? 5, 5, 5. That's why it's 1, because 5 divided by 5, anything divided by itself is 1. So why am I... Okay, what's happening here? We're passing in 5 and 5 here, and there's 5 units. Okay, so to get the coordinates is wrong. I'm Hardliner is a nice person. Oh, it's all part of your plan to take over the world. Well, I guess I'll be part of the plan now. When UX designers don't choose a proper font for chat, which allows one to distinguish a 1, an L, and an I. Yeah, true. It's probably like all of the above, right? So this is a problem here. I want 5 pixels to the right. So 5 pixels to the right. If I take that 5 pixels and I divide by 5, I get 1, which is here. And that's incorrect. Obviously. If I had... So do instead I need to calculate for the camera the number of grid points. So that would be, I want 5 pixels out to the right with 2 for each one, and that gives me that 2.5, which gets here. How am I gonna make that like look nice in the code? Because I want the grid to be the only one that like concerns itself by the number of grid like the number of grids that exist. So if I say, okay, I want a query based upon this rectangle. So we have this start. That's our 0, 0. And this is going to be the same thing. If I start at 5, 5, that's going to give me 1, 1 as the coordinate here for the start. So that's clearly incorrect. I need to. So I think is my indexing system incorrect? Okay, so let's say like this green one. Let's figure out where you go. Let's figure out your coordinates are. Let's see, we know you're like 2, 4, 6, 8. So let's say you're like 9.2 by 9.8, something like that. I want to get all the things within a certain range in a grid. Yeah, so like for example, I want to draw a square and everything within this rectangle here. I want to return those entities. So we know that this entity is in here. I want to check all of these grid cells for entities and then return references to them. That's the goal right now. Okay, so if I take like this 9.2, if I take 5 divided by like the number of cells, that's 5 wide, divided by 9, that's only going to be like 1 point something, isn't it? Because 2 times 5 is 10. So that math is wrong. Do I want to do like the entire width? So not the number of squares, but the it's 10 wide, so it'd be 9 divided by 10, which would be, no, that'd be like 9 something, which doesn't give me an index of 0 through 4. If I do it the opposite way and 9 divided by 2 instead of, 9 divided by 5 instead of 5 divided by 9? Did I just reverse it? So my calculator time, because I don't trust math. Let's do 9 divided by 5. So yeah, that's 1.8. And if I do 5 divided by 9, it's 0. Neither of those helps me out here. So let's do like the full coordinates now. So if we have this 9 and then like 10 wide, so like 9 divided by 10, we have 0.9. That's not helpful at all. If we have 10 divided by 9, we have 1.1. So still not helpful whatsoever. So if we have the width of each cell, though, if we say something like 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, that's what I want. It's the cell width. So it's 9 divided by the cell width. And it's not the other way around. I can't say like 2 divided by 9, because that's going to be like, that's wrong again. So we're taking 9.2 divided by 2, and we're getting 4.6. And that's right here. 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. So we should start with 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no. I'm wrong. 8 start here. This would be here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would actually be, the way I wrote this should be here. Yeah, okay. So basically we're turning real coordinates, world coordinates, into grid coordinates. And my math is wrong here. So what do we need to do? Our index is, so if x is 0, then we're turning 0. But what have we just done? We did 9 divided by 2. So we're taking the x and we're dividing by self dot we don't even have that number stored here. We need to store that number because when we get this unit width and unit height, we are we're creating these in the cells, but we're not storing that. So we need to store the unit width is a and suddenly the F32s make a lot more sense again. So when I get these, okay, so let's come back down here. You're back to being F32s. However, we're going to return this U32. We're going to take this X and divide by self dot unit width. Okay, you need to be 0, 0.0. Okay, so then you're all F32s. Okay, so self dot height. So we want to do the same thing here. We're going to say y is divided by self dot unit height. That gives me an F32. We're going to debug this. This should be correct now. And then we want to turn these as U32, which should essentially floor it. And unit width is like width divided by cells.length. So unit width is actually passed in. So when I create a new grid here, we say like, okay, we have a 10 wide and a 10 high world with a unit width of 2 and 2. So I get to control that completely myself. Okay, so then all of you, where we're translating this as U32s, you go away. Unnecessary. Okay, can you? Oh, you can't fix that yourself? Fine. I'll take away your parentheses. And then you. Okay, so then this as U32 is fixed. And what's that last error? Where are you? Oh, you. This is going to be our unit width and height. All right. So then let's run this again. Okay, so we see 5 and 0, 5 and 0, 5 and 5. Okay, now we see end start is 0 and end is 2. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so I think that's good. So we now saw in our query our start and end is 0 and 2. And if we take a look at this, so 0 and then 0, 1, 2. So that's correct. We're now going all the way down. I'm Hardliner. Be right back. All right. Okay, so given that, then I want to create all these indexes and put them in here. So let's now print out our indexes. Here we go. Okay, this is what we were expecting here. We were expecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Except we're not. We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So it's going from 0 to 2, and that's because we need to be inclusive in our for loops when creating these. So the way we do that in Rust is we have this like dot dot. We can now do a equal here, and that will be inclusive to the end. So let's run this again. And here we are. Okay, all the way to the end here. Okay, now I'm not doing anything with these yet, but now our indexes are correct. Lord Mist, hello. Okay, so we have a bunch of these tuple indexes for our grid. Now I want to loop just for each of these indexes, get the vector out, and then just take all the entities in there and stuff them in our found entities. You spent the first half of the day getting some CI/CD working. See, doing that kind of stuff is a lot of fun for me. I have been guilty of like spending all my time on a personal project just working on the CI/CD stuff, instead of like actually doing the real work. It's actually made me like concerned about like getting started. It's like, ooh, should I do that or should I just save it until like I've actually got something going? Using drone CI/CD, you really like it. I've not heard of drone CI/CD. Okay. Found indexes. All right, so we want to now loop through all of our indexes. So we can do this as like a for loop. Drone.io. I've not heard of this. Automate software, build and testing. Cool. I guess like the thing for personal stuff right now, I'm probably gonna just stay with GitHub Actions. And at work we're using AWS stuff, but I'll add this to my list of like my toolbox of like CI/CD stuff to like try out. Use Docker containers for building on. Oh, nice. Nice. Because that just lets you do anything. All right, so we want to loop through all of our indexes. So we're going to do indexes. We'll true this into an iterator. Then we can do a for each. Then we'll have our closure here. So we're going to have an index. We might as well just grab out our X and Y here. Actually, you know what? This is just the index because we just need that as it is anyways. All right, so let's multi-line this. So I want to take the grid and then grab out the vector for each of these. So we're going to have a let. Oh, and it probably needs to be an if let because so if let sum cell equals self dot cells dot. Okay, so I don't want to remove, I want to get and hand it the index. Now we can see I have a reference to a vector of IDs. So then I want to take this ID and find that ID inside of the entities vector. And then we're going to push a reference, so that we need to go find that. So this is potentially not fun. And this is potentially where using a hash map for the entities could also be really helpful too. Let's implement this right here, I think we can use a find, but it's going to do a lot of loops through, which is not the best for the big O. I think I can do find. So we can do let entity equals, oh, but it's gonna be a sum, isn't it? So let entity equals self dot entities dot after iter. Then I can do find. We're gonna have a predicate. Yeah, it's gonna be an option. So we're gonna have an entity in here, and then if the entity dot ID is equal to well that okay, hold on. I can't do that yet. I need to loop through the cell and get the IDs. Is there a reason to use for each over index? I guess I like for eaches. It feels more functional. That being said, I'm not. I guess like it depends also what you're doing in each of the loops. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I like for eaches. That's it. I certainly like if I was doing a code review of somebody and I saw like a bunch of for loops, and they could be for eaches. It really depends. Like if the function that I can call would be shorter or like simpler to read in the for each, then maybe I would suggest doing that. Otherwise, it's sort of like It's like does the code do what it's supposed to do? All right, so I've got this. I'm doing this too early. Let me cut that out. We need to loop through the cell first of all these IDs. For each is more readable. Like, I agree with that right now. But it's like super simple for loops might be just as readable. I don't know. Like, I try to not to be too dogmatic about it. So that way I'm not like, hey, follow my style guide. Now, that being said, Clippy, I think, yells at you if you don't use a for each. If you turn Clippy on and say, like, hey, all the features, everything. So there is that. Do it because Clippy wants you to. Okay, so I need to loop through all the cells. Loop through all the cells to get the IDs. So this is going to be cell.iter dot for each. So we're going to get the ID out of here. This is looking terrible. Style guide up and coming. My style guide is Clippy. At least for Rust. I don't, I've always like thought about like creating a personal style guide for like a bunch of the web development type stuff. I never really did. I always end up using Common, like Common JS or Airbnb or something like that. It's just too much work to like go through everything. Okay. So cell to iterate for each. Okay, so now we have the ID, and then we need to, for each of these IDs, get the entity out by finding the ID is entity.id is equal to the ID here. So that gives us an option with an entity. If the entity exists, so this could be an if let. Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. we want, okay, so I want to push this, but only if it exists. So that's probably an if let sum. Equals u. Then we're going to take our found entities dot push and entity. And that's it. We're just pushing a reference to the entity in here. And then at the end, we return this. This is nightmare inducing. We're gonna be able to save a lot of, like, some of this is gonna be helped out a lot if I switch the entities from a vector to a hash map. Because we have an ID anyways that's unique per entity, I think that'll make it a lot nicer, and we won't have to do this. I mean, is that completely true? I don't know. It actually might still be just as bad. I could extract this out into a function. Let's make this pass first. All right, so we have an error. Consider dereferencing the borrow. Sure, I'll dereference you. Found entities cannot found entities need to be mutable. All right, so no errors. Let's go ahead and run this test. Okay, so left is 0 and right is 1. I don't think it found anything. So this is on line 139. So here so visible entities, what we got back is 0. So we can see we have our found entities is an empty vector. We push things into it based upon what we find, and we return that vector. We didn't find anything. So I guess, like, so here's one question. Did we even reach here? So if I run a debug of hello, do we get this? And the answer is no. I don't see a hello here at all. Okay, so that means we never got inside of here. You never used Rust, but the syntax doesn't look too bad. You can get behind it. You're not too good with strict typing references and pointers, though. You spent too much time in PHP and JavaScript. The references are not hard here. Everyone's basically you put a star in when it yells at you to dereference. So you have to memorize that star is dereference and ampersand is reference. And you just have to, instead of JavaScript where it's auto reference, you have to manually do that. But the compiler is actually a good partner, which will help you out through it. Okay, so we're not getting here, so if we're not finding this entity, okay, so we're not finding the entity, are we here? No. Okay, no is the answer there too. So that means there's no IDs that are found inside of this. So based upon this index that we find in here, we got nothing. The hardest thing about Rust for you was dropping your OOP knowledge and working in a Rust-like way. And sort of to add on to that, Rust is allows you to go pretty deep into OOP without punishing you. I think it's more when you go into when you try to use some of the classic OOP, not data structures, but the programming patterns. So if you try to do inheritance, for example, that's when you start running into problems. But you can do single level OOP really easily and really nicely in Rust, I think. I did some C++ earlier this month, first time in years, and it was a nightmare. Felt like I was fighting against the language features instead of them working for me. I like being able to quickly prototype without typing, then optionally add it when ready. So if you're new to Rust, it's a different enough paradigm of programming that you'll probably start fighting it quite a bit. But then like eventually, if you stick with it and you spend time learning how Rust wants things done, like as I'm Hardliner says, the Rust like way. If you learn that, then it starts working with you a lot. You wanted to get away from OOP anyways. Yeah, Rust will help if you're doing a lot of nested like inheritance stuff. All right. So we're not getting any of you. Let's debug. Let's debug these index. See what we're getting out of here. Like we saw that we're getting those indexes correct. So are they not showing up now? Oh, here they are. Okay, so we have like 1 0, 1 1, 1 2. Okay. So given that, we then do a get into this cell. We should, this should debug out. I keep on opening up this when I would just want to scroll down and hit run test. Okay. We're getting all of our cells and it's completely empty. That's our problem here. Let's try moving this debug up here. And I just want to do self.cells. I want to see, don't take ownership of it. Let's just do this. So we can see here that we have nothing in our world. There's absolutely nothing in any of these vectors. So if we take a look at our tests, and you know, I would like to point out that we have these two entities, and I get the IDs of the entities, and then I query for the entities. At no point during this test did I ever tell the grid to insert the entity to get into the grid. Might just a thought, might have been helpful. All right. Oh, this is okay. The result, we're just gonna unwrap. It's a test. I know. It's like, why isn't it finding anything? I don't understand. How could it not find these things? Passed. Well, wait a second. If it passed, how come these are still showing empty? Oh no, it's not. Here's like 0. 0 was there. It's hard to see. There's a 1 somewhere here too. Here's the 1. So in position 3, 4, there's 1, and here is 0. Oh, yay. Okay. As some as some what is it? As some speedrunners say, let's go. I just enabled drone CD in one of your GitHub repos. It was really easy. Now you finally have automatic artifacts. Yeah. Okay. Our query is working. Basically, I don't need to store that away. And the query doesn't need to be mutable. I don't know why I made that mute. All right. So we're querying for this, and we're able to see like, hey, we have 1 entity. I don't actually need to check the length of it. I can just reach in and grab it. It will error out if this does, like, if it can't reach in to the first entity. Well, actually, you know what? I do want that because I want to make sure I don't grab like 2 things by accident. For this thing, we're grabbing 1 thing. Okay, so that's it. And that was adding in a query to find all the things. So that took way too long. That being said, like these things happen. It takes a little bit longer than we expect sometimes. I'm gonna go ahead and save all this up to GitHub. So able to query grid for entities. Now, that being said, we can probably make things a little bit nicer for us if we store the entities into hash maps instead of into a vector. You want to make a cat emote for me? Oh, I would definitely use that. I would be happy. Like I'll replace the line down, kitty with the tie. Unless like I get a third one. If I get a third emote, I will like one of my emotes. I'll put in there as that. Thank you so much. Zilby is cute. Oh, and Zilby's not here, so I might as well turn off the cat cam. The emote maker for the whole Rust community. Well, Arctic Space Fox, I would love to use any of the emotes that you create, as long as they're, you know, appropriately, you know, right for the community. I don't know what I'm saying. But kitty cat emotes are the best. Also the best emote maker there is. I mean, I've seen some of those emotes that you've made, Arctic Space Fox. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, they're really good. All right, if you want to follow along, if you want to take a look at this code on your own, run on your own system, I have it all at Bang Repo, and there is that too. Well, thank you. Obviously, the ones you have are the best. Well, I have Zilby, so if I get Zilby emotes, it's really hard to beat a cute orange cat emote. That's just my thought. All right. What do we got? You're all done there. I don't have any new things to do here. I think we're just about done. Hey, Chantilly Cake. I don't know if you've been lurking or if you just got here, but we're just ending. So I'm going to go ahead and end it for the YouTube. So if you're watching a VOD, thank you for watching. And I'll be back next time with more grid